Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Mayor Grant also mentioned somebody who takes very good care of Seat Pleasant. And I tell you, I've gone to several of her neighborhood. I mean, whenever George tells me that Aisha Braveboy, the Honorable Aisha Braveboy, is doing something in the community, I try to pop up. Yeah. That's what you call it. She calls them her pop-ups. And so what I want her to do is come up and just give us some love this morning. And I appreciate you, sister.
Thanks for that kind introduction. And thank you again to Dr. Hodge and also to Mr. Shivers. I guess now I know I can call you Tick or something like that. Was that it? Okay. But it is truly an honor to be here, because when I get to look in the faces of our future, it fills my heart. You know, in my job as state's attorney, unfortunately, I meet a lot of families who lose loved ones not much older than some of you. And so their futures got cut short, often because of senseless gun violence. And so when I see young people like you, who I know are going to one day grow up to be me, to be Delegate Fennell, Delegate Barnes, Council Chair Hawkins, the Brian Shivers and George Hodges of the world, because you are getting so much here. We're pouring so much into you that you're going to know your purpose. You're not going to get out there and ruin your futures. And so we need you really to go and be that voice to your peers, because they may listen to us, but they will feel you. If we tell them don't do something, they may say, you know, those old people, they don't know what they're talking about. But when you say, hey man, or hey sis, like, we got more to do here. We got a future to protect out there. That's what we want you all to focus on. And that's why a day like today is so critical. Not because you get to play basketball. The fact that you might put the ball in the hoop today is not the goal. You know what the goal is for today? To learn how to work collaboratively together to reach a goal. Now, I've never played basketball. I was on the dance team, pom squad, things like that. But what I recognize about any kind of sport, but in particular basketball is a very special sport. It's a lot about skill. It's a very mental game, but you have to rely on your teammates. In order to reach your goal, you've got to rely on your teammates. You have a coach. Your coach helps you before you go into a game. While you're in practice, that coach helps you to develop your skills. But the skills that they're helping you develop is not just physical, it's mental too. They're teaching you endurance. They're teaching you to overcome challenges. They teach you how to deal with conflict. Sometimes there's conflict on the court, right? But you can't throw a blow. What you gotta do is that you gotta just shake it off and do better, because when you fail, the team fails. Now, in the game of basketball, guess what you get? You get an opportunity sometimes to make mistakes. You get fouls, right? Who's ever been fouled in a basketball game? Oh, yes. But if it's not too flagrant, right, you get an opportunity to get back in the game, right? You may have to sit out for a few minutes and then you get back in. And that's sometimes what happens in life. Sometimes we make mistakes, and sometimes we have to sit out for a minute and then we get back in the game. But if you commit a flagrant foul, if you hurt someone else, guess what happens? What happens to you? Tell me. I can't hear you. Come on up here, sweetheart. You get a technical foul. But wonder if the foul is really, really bad. Wonder if you're really meaning to hurt someone with the foul. What happens? Say it again.
You get ejected.
You get ejected. You get ejected. What's
Go
your
ahead,
name?
young man. That's right.
Gunner. What is it?
Gunner.
Gunner. Gunner. Thank you, Gunner. High five. All right. So you get ejected from the game when you commit a flagrant foul that hurts someone else. And what we want to prevent is for you and all of your friends from being ejected out of the game of life. From being ejected out of the game of life. It's so important that you stay in the game. The game is what you make it to be. But the game has rules, just like our community has rules. And when you follow the rules, when you work as a team, when you listen to your coaches, kind of like your parents, when you listen to the referees out here. Now, I consider the referees sometimes in our communities as members of law enforcement, because sometimes we have to come in and referee what happens. And guess what? We've got some dynamic sisters, members of law enforcement here. Can you all? Wow. And a brother. Come on. Come on, y'all. They are not the enemy. Sometimes act as the referees. Sometimes they act as the coach. But they're here to protect you and to ensure that you have a bright future. And that's why Dr. Hodge and George Shivers and everybody brought you together today. Because we recognize that on this court, you can learn a whole lot about life. You can get skills that will prepare you to take on any challenge that you might face in this life. But what you also learn is by working together, you can achieve a goal. And guess what? Sometimes you win and sometimes you come up short, right? But when you put your heart on the court, doesn't that make you feel good? Because sometimes you might get a basket or two, may not be enough, right? Because the other team might, oh, you got to, okay, we're not going to talk about that today. but sometimes you may not win the game, but you win at life because you become closer with your teammates. Even through, when you face, losses, sometimes that actually makes you a little stronger. Because guess what? You have to get back out there again. And you have to face the fact that you may not win every single time. But it's not about winning and losing on the court. It's about winning in life. And that's why we are here, because we want you to be winners in life. So thank you so much for being out here. I just want our amazing law enforcement partners to just share their name and tell you where they're from. A lot of them grew up in these communities like I did. I grew up here. I went to Largo High School. I am a homegirl. Just like y'all homeboys and homegirls here, I'm a homegirl, right? And so I am so confident that the work that I am going to do is going to make a difference in your life, because I am you and you are me. That's how I feel. And so, but there are other people out. I'm not the only one, and there are some other people out here looking out for your futures too.
All right. Thank you. I'm PFC Rude, Crystal Rude. I've been in an apartment with PG, Prince George's County Police Department, for 11 years now. I'm in the Community Service Division. We do a lot of partnering with different communities and things like this, actually. And this is what I love to do. This is my favorite part of the job. I just love to see the smiles, the peace, and the love. Oh, yeah.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shanice Thomas. I am a recruit for the police department. I grew up right here on 64th and Gregg Street. And I just want to give back to the community that I'm from and just be the familiar face in the community that I grew up in. I want to, like I said, I just want to give back to the place that I'm from.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Sergeant Bates with the Sea Pleasant Police Department. When they said basketball, that's when I got to pull up. I mean, I've been playing basketball since I was 7 years old, so I've sat in those bleachers. I played against probably some of the best players in this area. And I wish I could play against you guys today, but they said no, I couldn't play. But it's good to see everybody out here. It's good to have events like this, and everybody, the coordinators and the city officials that came out to support. This is beautiful. Good luck.
So I'm going to pass the mic back over to our host. I also want to recognize from my office, school board member Ed Burrows. So Ed Burrows is here with us today, as well as my chief of staff, Judy Danso, and our municipal liaison, Sean Michael Wilson. And guess what? They all grew up in gorgeous Prince George's County and attended the public schools here in Prince George's County. So it's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you, my sister.